So a hot Friday, and I've got an appointment I'm heading to right now. Just stopped at the gas station and I wanted to show you this really quick Chevron. Take a look at these prices. Supreme is $5.99, $5.69 for regular. And I wanted to show you this because this is coming to a town near you. This is heading to your state, to your town. So maybe here in California right now, people will say, oh, that's California. You're noticing wherever you live, your gas prices are going up and up and up, and they're going to continue to go up. And you're going to see prices like this at some point, probably by the end of this year, next year, where you live. So get ready. It's Friday, August 25th, 2023. So earlier today, as you saw in the beginning of this video, I stopped by the gas station, $5.99 for a gallon of super unleaded gasoline at Chevron. That is what is happening here in California, and that is what is going to continue to happen across the United States as we're going to see gas prices rising. And so as we watch the Fed Chairman today, Jerome Powell, give a speech at Jackson Hole, didn't get a chance to watch it, but I do have some notes on it. We are in a very uncertain time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand how the Fed plans on getting inflation back down to 2%. And when you see gas prices now at $5.99, and you understand that everything is shipped by a truck, a train, a airplane, a boat, everything is shipped by oil and gasoline and diesel, and prices are going up, and those prices are going to be tagged on to all those goods and all that food that are shipped. So I don't understand how they're going to do this on top of all of the spending that this country is doing. And I believe, you know, we're still sending billions and billions of dollars overseas to Eastern Europe, raising debt ceilings, spending completely out of control. Somebody please explain to me, how is the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell going to get inflation back down to 2%? And we know it's not 3.2% right now. Anybody that believes that, please, you believe in the tooth fairy, please wake up. But markets across the board today up as gas prices surge. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell calls inflation too high and warns that we are prepared to raise rates further. This on CNBC. Again, how is he going to get back to 2% when the government is outspending him by trillions of dollars? And will Jerome Powell ever call out the US government and say, hey, you got to stop all of this spending, otherwise we're going to have hyperinflation in this country? Now, he says that, you know, the job of the Fed is not to get political, not to take sides. I get it. But when do we get to a point where Jerome Powell must stand up and speak out and say something? Now, more than likely, he'll never do that. But think about the Fed raising rates and the government continues to spend trillions of dollars. This to me means that we're just going to continue to spin our wheels, while the middle class and the poor are just going to get absolutely annihilated here with these rates. The cost to borrow money, the cost to service debt is getting absolutely out of control. I didn't check mortgage rates today. I'm sure we're still well over 7.5%. If you have excellent credit, if you have 20% down, there are people out there paying 8.5%, probably almost 9% now for a 30-year. How in the world do you sustain a housing market in America? What are all of these borrowers going to do, such as in commercial real estate, when these loans come due and they have to refi these existing loans at higher rates? How they're going to continue to turn the keys in on these properties? That's what's going to happen. So we're going to see more problems in commercial real estate. We're about to see big problems in housing, as the housing market is already collapsing. And anybody that says it isn't, you believe in Santa Claus, because when you look at the numbers, we are seeing, at least in Riverside County, on average, we're down about 40% in real estate sales and housing sales. And this is typically one of the hottest markets in the United States. And so if it's happening here, it's happening everywhere. And look, somebody can to write me. Somebody can write me and say it's not happening in my town. Yes, I understand. Maybe there's a couple Mayberries out there where it's not happening. For the most part, 90% of America now is experiencing a housing collapse where sales are absolutely plummeting. Take a look at mortgage apps. We are looking at massive lows. People are not even applying for mortgages because they can't afford it. Many people can't even apply because there's no way that they're even eligible, that they can even get a mortgage now with the debt to income ratios. So there's just too many borrowers out there now that just cannot qualify. And that's going to be a big problem. There's so many cracks in the dam, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know where to begin. But getting back to Jackson Hole today, Jerome Powell, he gave no sign of cutting rates. Now, what's interesting is markets across the board were up. I don't understand why they were up. I think that there's still hope. The hopium still exists in these markets that Jerome Powell is going to reverse course, that Jerome Powell is going to stop raising rates, that some miracle is going to take place, that he's going to start lowering rates and printing money. I don't see it happening. I believe we're going to get another rate hike in November, and I believe that it's very, very possible, very likely, that we're going to get more rate hikes in 2024. All these people that told us that Jerome Powell would never raise rates, they were wrong. Everybody that told us that mortgage rates would be 4% this summer, they were wrong. Everybody that said that inflation was transitory, they were wrong. Everybody that said gasoline prices would, never hit $5, $6 a gallon, they were wrong. People said that we would never see a housing collapse, they were wrong. Everybody that you've been listening to has been wrong. There's an article on The Hedge today, a long way to go. Fed Chair Powell delivers hawkish Jackson Hole speech. This kind of highlights some of the quotes that he made during the speech. It says here, to summarize Powell's speech, we ain't done yet. That, according to this article on The Hedge. Now, some of the things that Jerome Powell said today is that the Fed will be attentive to signs. Economy not cooling as expected. Inflation remains too high. Process of bringing inflation down has a long way to go, even with more favorable recent readings. Signs, job market is not cooling, could also require more Fed action. So do not be surprised if you see Jerome Powell and the Fed raising rates in 2024. But one thing is certain right now. It does not look like they are going to reverse course. Prepare for rates to be higher for longer. Prepare that borrowing costs are going to continue to rise and that we're going to see a lot of bank tightening and a lot of restrictions. You need to borrow money. It's going to get tougher and tougher to do. And this is going to put a lot of pressure on the U.S. economy and on businesses in the U.S. economy. Macy's sounds the alarm on credit card delinquencies. This on CNN. Macy's is warning of a spike in customers who are failing to make credit card payments, adding to the evidence of mounting financial stress on consumers. I mean, even CNN now is reporting how bad things are getting. Macy's says it has been caught off guard with the speed of the uptick in delinquencies. This a very, very bad sign for the U.S. economy, ladies and gentlemen. We are now really getting ready to hit a brick wall here, and the average U.S. consumer is not prepared to deal with what is coming. They don't have the tools to deal with what is coming. They've spent all their money. They have no savings. They have no retirement. They have no net worth. They have no food and water put away. They have no assets. They have no gold, no silver. They have a big mortgage. They have a big car payment. They have student loan debt. They have credit card debt. These are not the things you want to be taking into an economic collapse. Many people right now are living in a major economic collapse right now. Their households, ladies and gentlemen, you walk into their house, they're already living in a depression. Their house might look good from the outside when you drive by. They might have a Mercedes in the driveway, but these people right now are living in a depression. They're living in an economic collapse, and they are maybe a paycheck away from big trouble. They may be in big trouble right now. They might be 3 car payments behind, 3 mortgage payments behind, 3 credit card payments behind, and one little emergency. They're in big trouble because they have absolutely no capital, no cash. They're in big trouble. And I make these videos, and I know people will be like, there's the, you know, that guy's negative, that's doom and gloom, oh, the sky's falling. I'm sitting here, ladies and gentlemen, and the sky's not falling here. I paid off all my debts years ago. I worked my butt off. I saved a lot of money. I bought assets. I didn't buy things I couldn't afford. I didn't live a lifestyle I couldn't afford. I didn't go out and buy a Dodge Charger with my stimulus money. And you have to shake your head when people went out, bought the big screen TVs, the cars, but yet they didn't pay their rent. They didn't put any money away. They lived like complete big shots. And now they're going to pay a very, very severe price here. And this isn't to say that I'm better than somebody else or you're better than somebody else. I want to commend everybody who didn't take the bait, that didn't just take the money and go and blow it and said, I'm not going to pay my rent, or I'm going to go into a moratorium with my house, and you know, I'm going to be dependent on the system. I'm glad you didn't take the bait, because the people that did are going to learn a very, very valuable life lesson here. Nothing's free. There is no free lunch. And so, you know, we can go back a year or two ago, and you remember all the people on social media, the real estate agents, you know, bragging about how they got $100,000 over the asking price of this home, $50,000 over. Look at my new car. Look at what I'm drinking. Look at my steak dinner. Look at we're at the pool in Vegas. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Many of those people have disappeared. They're gone, and many of them are completely broke now. They're brokies. You know, one word of advice I'll give you before we head into the weekend is, if you're doing well and you're making some bank, making some change, got a few bucks, be very, very conservative with your money right now. Don't take risk right now, and certainly do not flaunt it in somebody's face like so many of these people did. Many of these people flaunted the watches and the steak dinners, the champagne, the trips, the cars, and it's all gone, or they're hiding it from the repo man. I just never could understand why people have to be so braggadocious, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But instead of preparing, these people just wanted to show us, impress us. People, like, we don't even know who half these people are, but want to impress us with everything they have. Where are they now? Where are they now? What impresses me is when people are debt-free, when they don't have a car payment, when they don't have a house payment, when they don't owe anything on their credit card, you know, when they can go pay cash for a car, cash for a house, cash for a dinner. I mean, how many people are financing their dinners? How many people have to use a buy now, pay later plan to go grocery shopping or to go out to dinner? Think about that. Or a credit card, because they're like, I'll have to pay it off in a couple months, but I want to be a big shot in Vegas. This lifestyle is going to come to a very abrupt end, and it's happening right now to a lot of people you know and I know. The hedge today, more Americans are having a hard time paying their big credit card bills. The stimulus is gone. The savings is gone, and the credit card debt is exploding. The number of Americans rolling credit card debt from month to month is now higher than the number of people paying the bills in full for the first time ever. That is scary. According to J.D. Power, 51% of U.S. credit card holders now carry revolving debt. The average credit card balance is up 6.5% from a year ago. Think about that. 6.5% increase while your dollar is buying less, while inflation is still roaring out of control and is going to come back even hotter and bigger and stronger than ever. Inflation is not going away, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to roar back. And you got to think that inflation is at least 3 times what they're telling us right now, minimal. Many of you will write me and say it's probably much more than that, but I'm going to be conservative here. So let's just say it's about 10%. It's probably much more than that. And people's credit card debt is increasing 6.5% year over year. Not a good number. Corporate America panics as student loan chatter hits record on earnings calls. The hedge today, 43 million Americans have student loan debt. The consumer, in my humble opinion, is about to hit a brick wall. And I'll tell you why. Student loan payments. This is going to equal $15.8 billion per month, $190 billion per year. And this is going to cause a massive headwind for retailers and for the U.S. economy, because these people were taking that $15.8 million and they were going to restaurants, they were going to Kohl's, they were going to Nordstrom's, they were going to Macy's, they were going to Target, they were going to Walmart, they were going to Las Vegas. They were buying stuff with this $15.8 billion a month. But guess what? Now that $15.8 billion got to go back to paying student loan debt. $190 billion a year. That's like just pulling $200 billion right out of the U.S. economy. How is that not going to have a major effect? People are going to have some serious choices to make here. These 43 million people, huge strains and massive pressure going to be on tens of millions of U.S. households, because they're going to have to pick and choose. Do they eat? Do they pay the utility bill? Or do they pay their student loan debt back? They're certainly not going to Kohl's. They're not going to Target. They're not going to Nordstrom's anymore. They're going to be able to make their car payments. 25 to 30,000 repos a day. What's it going to be next year? This all starts in, I believe, October. So this is going to be very, very interesting. But, you know, pumping trillions of dollars into the economy, buying mortgage-backed securities, slamming interest rates to zero, all these artificial injections and all this manipulation, it's all going to come to an end. It's all coming to a head, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to see what kind of damage it's all caused by pumping in all this free money, all of this printed money, and lowering rates to zero, and the Fed buying stocks and the Fed buying mortgage-backed securities. We're going to see now the fragmentation, the ramifications now of all of this and what it's going to do to the U.S. economy. This is not going to get fixed in 6 months or a year or 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be massive pain felt throughout this country financially, and it's going to pour over socially. There's no escaping what we've done. You cannot print this money. You cannot slam interest rates to zero. You cannot just give people free money. You cannot tell people to stay at home. You cannot have people not pay their rent. You cannot put everything into a moratorium and believe that this is all going to go away. It's not. Affirm shares rocket 28% after better than expected results and strong guidance. This is on CNBC. This is a buy now, pay later service. Another sign of how bad, how desperate the condition of the U.S. consumer is right now, because they're now using these buy now, pay later plans just to go to the grocery store. They're financing groceries, ladies and gentlemen. This is typically your subprime borrower, people who can't get a credit card, so they go to a firm and they get a buy now, pay later plan. So what happens when all these people with a buy now, pay later plan like a firm go, hey, I can't pay it back? What happens? Who's going to pay for all this? You are taking a huge risk by lending subprime borrowers money when they're so desperate that they need this to buy groceries. How in the world are they going to pay this money back? But this is where we're at. Daily Mail. Wells Fargo customers left unable to use their bank cards or transfer cash amid major outage. Customers pledged to switch banks. They're so angry. Being left unable to make transfers or use their bank cards. My question is, why are you still banking with Wells Fargo? My next question is, why are you still using banks, period? Why not be your own central bank? Keep enough money in the bank to pay your bills. That's it. Unless there's, unless you run a business or there's, certain reasons why you have to have some money in this system. If you don't have to have all your money in the system, why is all your money in the system? If you're not buying a house tomorrow, if you're not running a business, why is your money in the bank? Be your own central bank. The technical issues started last night. Outages continued this morning. People couldn't use their debit cards, couldn't view their accounts, couldn't make transactions, couldn't transfer funds. People are so dependent on the system, and then when the system doesn't work, they have a meltdown. Then they begin to ask questions. What's happening? Why is this happening? Was the bank breached? Is it just a technical glitch? I'm upset. I'm angry. First off, I wouldn't deal with Wells Fargo. They're literally in the news every week for some sort of crime. Secondly, get your money out of the bank. Stop being dependent on the system. Think about how much worse this is going to get. What if your bank shut down for a month? What if your bank shut down forever? Once you put that money in the bank, in that savings account, that is now the property of the bank. You must understand that. If we begin to see real big trouble in this country, which we're going to see big banking issues because the commercial real estate market is going to collapse, and we're going to see a lot of banks go down with the ship. We're going to see more of these glitches, more attacks on these banks with the technology that is out there. Let's face it, we have a lot of enemies. What would you do if your bank shut down for 30 days? What if you couldn't recover your money for 90 days? What if you could never recover your money ever again? Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And these people who, just say, well, keep it in multiple banks, spread it around 3 banks. That's wonderful, but you're still in a system that is falling apart. You're still in a system that is melting down right now. The safest way to protect your money is not have it in the bank. Having it in 3 banks is 3 times the trouble. Truckers are accepting rates 15 to 25% below their costs. This is on The Hedge today. Mark Durfee, general manager of Giltner Logistics, based in Twin Falls, Idaho, said Southern California and Arizona are just wastelands right now. The rates are horrible. Vector Logistics, John Standerup, said this market is so incredibly depressed right now, we're getting winter rates in the middle of summer. It used to take 4 to 5 days to book a truck. Now you can get a truck in less than 24 hours. I'll close with this. The BRICS nations just revealed 6 new members. Who are they? Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. They were approved yesterday, and they will be full-fledged members the beginning of January 2024. So they are now going to be part of the BRICS group of nations. The group of world rising powers is getting bigger by the day, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go from 11, then it'll be 15, then it'll be 20, then it'll be 30. You see where this is all going. We are seeing so many things happening in the globe right now, or across the globe. And to think that the US dollar is going to be the end-all, be-all, that it's going to be the ultimate currency in the world, maybe 5-10 years from now, you are drinking the Kool-Aid. I know most people that you know and that I know, if you spoke about the BRICS summit that took place this week, people would think you were speaking Latin. They have no idea, but they know every baseball player, every football player. They're probably going to be at a baseball game tonight. But people have no idea what is about to happen to them. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen next week or next month. This could take a year, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, but it's coming. It's going to happen in our lifetime. It's going to happen in the lifetime of your children. And if you're not preparing for this, you're going to be living in a third world country. Your kids will be living in a third world country. We're all going to be living in a third world country. Just depends where we're going to be living in this third world country. I hope to be living on a nice ranch. Many of you, hopefully, I'm sure will be living in nice places because you have assets. You've paid off the debts. You've prepared for this change, this new world that is happening right now. Nothing's going to stop it. We cannot stop it. But we can adapt and protect ourselves for the changes that are coming. And I think that that's why you've got to be paying off debt. You've got to be holding assets, land, real estate, gold, silver, things of that nature. You've got to be getting out of the system. This is the old system, ladies and gentlemen. There's a new system coming. And the dollar is not going to be the super dominant currency in the world, I believe, within the next 5 years. It's just not going to be. So you've got to be making changes right now because we don't know when it's going to happen. And the longer it takes, the better. But we don't know, do we have a year? Do we have 3 years? Do we have 5 years? Do we have 10 years? I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. But what I do know is I can see where this is all going, like many of you. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't need a crystal ball. You can see where it's all going. The world is rising up. These emerging markets are rising up. Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, India, all of these countries are rising up. They don't like the weaponization of the US dollar. They don't like the weaponization of what we've done across the world with our military. And so they're going to do something about it, and it's begun. And so when you weaponize a currency, countries begin to worry, right? And they've had enough. They really have. And so weaponizing currencies and other things, the world's had enough of it. And so they're going to end it. And this is what people don't understand, is this is going to have a huge influence on their standard of living. I'm going to leave it there today. Have a great weekend. As I leave you, don't get complacent, ladies and gentlemen. Market was up today, ignoring what Jerome Powell was saying. But one thing that these markets are not going to be able to ignore very soon is what's happening to the U.S. economy, what's happening to commercial real estate, what's happening to housing, what's happening to the middle class. It's not going to be able to ignore this much longer. The pain is coming, and you have to do everything right now to, nobody's gonna be able to avoid the pain, but we can soften the pain up a little bit, right? We can soften the blow here a little bit by making these preparations. We're not going to be able to avoid what's coming. We cannot stop it, but we can soften the pain. We can soften the blow here. So I'm going to leave it there. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Walk close to God. Pray for this country, ladies and gentlemen. We need a miracle. What's happening politically, I don't get political on this channel. I'm not going to. But what's happening political, I think I don't need to really say much. But this country is so out of control. I worry. I really am at a point now where I worry about where all this is going. We've got war in Eastern Europe. Now we've got stuff breaking out in Taiwan. And we cannot even take care of our own business right here. And we are a bankrupt nation. We are the biggest debtor nation on planet Earth. We are completely broke. We're bankrupt. We have no business sticking our nose in anybody's business anywhere in the world. We need to fix what's happening right here, right now. But we won't do that. We will not do that. We're going to continue to spend. We're going to continue to create more inflation. We're going to continue to destroy the dollar. And that's why you must be protecting yourself. God bless.